everyone. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. All right, you guys. So today we are joined by Katrina from a podcast and Instagram page called FraudedbyTLC, which covers 90 Day Fiance. And I wanted to talk about her recent podcast because she has some tea about the tell-all. And rather than me giving it in regurgitated fashion, I thought Katrina would be better to actually share with you. And I know a lot of you follow her Instagram page, which has 91,000 people following it. Holy moly. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Katie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you have a podcast, which I love, by the way, that you do weekly, covering and going under like behind the scenes, like what's going on 90 Day Fiance. A lot different than some of the stuff we see on Instagram, where it's just sort of regurgitating what's happening on social media. You have scoops.
Yeah, we kind of like, the way I like to describe it is we kind of pull back the curtain on the reality of 90 Day Fiance. And we go behind the scenes, and, you know, my Instagram account is called FraudedbyTLC, sort of a play on the fact that TLC likes to make producer-driven scenes and sort of have fake scenes sometimes. You know, the level of what quote-unquote fraud is varies, but we try to cover it all, and we do that on the Instagram page as well as on the podcast, where we can go in depth into discussions of this stuff that, you know, more than you can get in sort of like a bite-sized chunk on the Instagram. But if the bite-sized chunk is more your speed, then the Instagram page should be, you know, do it for you. But if you want more in depth, then the podcast, which is called the Fraudcast, is might be right up your alley.
So this season, a lot of people feel like there's been a lot of fakery by the network and with some of these couples. And some of the fakery is pretty obvious with Yolanda.
Yeah.
And David.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they recently had a tell-all. So you were talking about on your podcast, which you sort of dissected last week's episode, which I talked about on my channel. If you guys want to find out all the behind the scenes stuff that they say was real or not real, or more details about Ash's seminar, I would encourage you to check it out. But it was the tea that was at the end related to the tell-all, which I found particularly interesting because there was a few things that we noticed. One was that I talked about on my channel a couple days ago, was that Jeffrey and Varya were not there.
Correct.
So what do we know about what happened and why they weren't included?
Okay, so, well, let me just give you a little bit of background on the tell-all. The tell-all was originally scheduled to be filmed way back in March, April, maybe, and it had to be canceled because it was scheduled for filming in New York. So they rescheduled it for this past weekend, and they did it over Skype. And so during the filming, so Jeffrey was not invited to the tell-all filming, and that is due to his pending charge allegation. Yeah. So it's all related to his pending stuff. And so he was not invited. And then Varya was asked if she would come on without him, and she declined to do so. So that's why we don't see either of them on the tell-all.
Now, I had been hearing rumblings that from people that have been sort of like stalking Instagram stuff, that Jeffrey had sort of told Varya not to film because he didn't want her to film without him. Have you heard anything like that?
I do not know where her decision came from. I don't know what pressured it. That could be certainly be possible. I haven't had really the time nor the inclination really to go dig into Jeffrey and Varya too much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us haven't really,
right,
because so many of us are not appreciative of the fact that he was put on the show, which that begs the question, is something I've talked about, is why was he kept on the show? Do you have any scoop about that?
I do have some insight into that, and the reason is because his stuff was pending. a lot of his charges sort of came out after, like they happened after he filmed. And so his stuff was pending during the run up to the airing date. And I think TLC was hoping that they'd be resolved because he had some court dates in that month before the show premiered. But they had way too much footage of him and way too many episodes in the can already to want to take him out. So that, I think, ultimately was the decision that led them to keep him in, was that he and Varya took up so much of the episodes that they had already put together that to remove them would have caused a lot of time and, you know, what would replace it and things like that. You will notice they are not on Pillow Talk.
I did. I talked about that a couple days ago, is that they obviously made the decision to exclude them from Pillow Talk.
Right. So they left him on the show, but they're cutting him out. They're, you know, parting ways with him or distancing themselves in other ways. So I think that's how they're handling it.
So another thing that we know is that he has proposed to her and we left him on a cliffhanger. And
Yes.
You on the podcast mentioned you had word that she said no.
Correct.
So
that's our intel at this time, is that she says no.
Now, you've also said that there's actually been other girlfriends since Varya. What do you know about that?
Well, what we know is that the allegations against him in the June stuff are not Varya.
Right.
So, and that they occurred after his filming with Varya. So, and this person is somebody he has been involved with for a
very long time.
Yeah. So
that made me wonder, like, did he have that going on when you went to go see Varya?
It appears that way.
And he's also still married.
Yes, he is not divorced. Correct.
Such a gentleman.
Yeah.
So safe to say we will be able to finally wash our hands of Jeffrey and any tiny little platform that he has. It's amazing that anyone even finds him interesting. I only cover him because I hate tool bags. Okay, so another hot topic is Ash and Avery. So This past week there was a fallout with the seminar and Ash losing his mind. And you guys dug into some of the things. I did not agree with a lot of the things that you said about Ash. I've extensively looked at his Instagram and I find him to be a complete and utter charlatan. But what is the tea about the tell-all? I posted yesterday on a video that he told someone, like he answered on Instagram, "Are you and Avery together?" And he said no.
Mm-hmm. He has since deleted that, I believe.
Screenshots are forever.
I know. The cast needs to learn this. Yeah, correct. They are not together. They actually broke up maybe a week to a couple of days before the tell-all films, depending on who you ask. So the tell-all is, I would say it's tense between them. It's only been a couple of days now. Since the filming, they have broken up a number of times. Avery keeps breaking up with him. She had broken up with him a number of times before the show aired. In fact, just as a little side note, they were broken up. She had applied for the show on their behalf. They were broken up, and then the show called. So she called him and said, "Hey, we're going to be on the show." And he's like, "Wait, what? We're broken up." And they ultimately got back together, not for the purposes of filming, but they had gotten back together, right, as the filming was happening. Side note, but
that's not suspicious.
So when she broke up with him the most recent time, Ash finally was like, "I've had enough." Like, it was the final straw. He's like, "I can't. You're too volatile." And I've seen some evidence that supports that position. Now, she is definitely not who she portrays herself to be. And what we know about the tell-all is that she starts off with her normal Avery persona that we see on TV, and then and the cast is on her side, like, Ash, you're this misogynistic, sexist pig, blah 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 blah, relationship coaching. But by the end of the tell-all, the cast has sort of seen Avery for who she is, because I guess she couldn't hide it. And they ended up.
And what do you mean by, like, who she is? Like, who is she?
She's crazy. you know, she puts it out there like she's this totally normal, stable person. And Ash is just this, you know, douchebag who, you know, who like plays his relationship coach, you know, persona, and he's just playing her and just says all the right things. And while there may be a certain element of truth to that, because I do feel like he speaks in like Instagram like memes, like I feel like that's
Yes.
like the way he speaks.
Like my thumbnail was like, I learned how to coach because I can Google. Like that's yeah.
Like his you know, Instagram inspirational meme speak is, you know, annoying and stuff, but like Avery she's consistently ghosting him and calls it taking a break, and then like what's he supposed to do? And when he's going through issues and needs support, she's not there for him. And this is kind of what we talked about on the podcast, which I know a lot of people have disagreed with us on, and that's fine. But like the position is, you know, he did this seminar, which by the way was all TLC setup, but he does this seminar where he falls flat on his face, and this is his job, his profession. And so he basically has a really bad day at work, and he comes, you know, afterwards, and he needs his girlfriend to support him and help him. And she just was like, well, you deserve it. And oh, here's the list of all the other things that you say and do that I don't like about you. So that was sort of the angle that we took on it.
Well, so a lot of the criticism that my subscribers give Avery is that you knew he was a coach. You knew he was doing this. You saw how he acted online, and now you're surprised.
Right. Yeah. And so you get that, and then you also get the fact that she's not showing the parts that she's not showing is all the times that she's ghosted him and walked away from him and just expected him to just be perfectly fine with it, and all the times that he has needed her and she's not been there for him. Now I'm not necessarily taking sides, you know, in their breakup, but what I'm saying is that Avery does put out this persona of she's perfect, and this is, you know, she's the bastion of stability, and the truth is that there's actually a lot more that has happened behind the scenes, and the way that she's acted towards him that maybe make his behavior make a little bit more sense. And we'll see this on the tell-all. You know, what I understand from the tell-all is always, of course, prior to editing. So I don't know how TLC is going to end up ultimately editing this stuff, but it's interesting. It's gonna be good.
They go back and forth, or like
there's a lot of back and forth. Sean Robinson is like, stop talking in inspirational memes, like just tell me what happened, why'd you guys break up, like, you know. And
they both, like, to be honest, they both seem fake. They both seem to be these Instagram influencers that think that they can fool everyone with their fake shticks. And
yeah, and I think Sean Robinson is like, she sees through this and is just like, no, like cut.
The biggest criticism my subscribers have said about Avery is like, what mother of 2 young children puts her life on hold and travels across the world to meet a man who's a relationship coach she's broken up with multiple times? Like, it just, all of it doesn't stand to be, I'm a stable person.
Yeah, that's a good conclusion to draw. Yes. your viewers are accurate, I think, about that.
My viewers are pretty logical. We are pretty no BS. Like, we try to be like empathetic and like understanding, but then we also are like, this doesn't pass the sniff test.
Yeah, exactly. And I think your viewers are right on with that.
Okay. Now, and they hate Ash. Okay, anyways. But we don't like Ash. You
can hate Ash, but also
we don't really like
either or.
We don't really like Avery either. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to like be on either one side. You can hate them both.
We're not team either. We're like team neither. Now, let's talk about the Erica and Steph. Now, this has been a humongous like debate on this channel. Is like, is this relationship real? I think it was real, but I think I've stated repeatedly in my coverage that I think Erica was misled by Stephanie's online persona, because Stephanie is much different online than she is in real life, which I understand, like that's her business, that's what she does. But if she was engaging with Erica like that Stephanie, it would be confusing when they would meet, or like when she meets Erica, it would be confusing to Erica. And then Erica is not like that. She's very free spirited. She has who you see. She is who you see. Now, I've noticed throughout the season that they don't engage with each other at all online. You rarely see them like liking each other's posts or even commenting to one another. There's been rumors that Erica even already has a new girlfriend. So what can we expect from them at the tell-all?
More of the same. Yeah, I think your assessment is absolutely spot on. I think that the Stephanie that Erica got in Australia is not the Stephanie she had been engaging with for the last 9 months prior to that. They're barely on speaking terms. They are pretty volatile with each other on the tell-all, and I don't know that they get any. I don't know that Erica gets any actual closure or answers, or you know, I think we're going to see more of the same, where Erica raises a concern, raises her issue, and Stephanie starts crying her crocodile tears and making it all about her, and you know, whatever, you know, and then it prevents Erica from getting heard and getting her point across.
I think what's happened to Stephanie, and this is just my opinion, is that she has a platform and she's grown and she's gotten a lot of attention. And so she's used to not having to engage back and forth with people and just being like doting on people. And then she can sort of block out the negative by deleting or not looking at it, right? And that can happen with a lot of YouTubers. It's like you get this sort of inflated sense of importance. So I wonder sometimes like how that imbalance might have played a factor with them and how that's contributed to her behavior. I mean, I think on the surface, Stephanie seems like a very lovely person. Just maybe they weren't a good match, or I mean, what do you think there?
My own personal belief is that I think Stephanie doesn't know how to be real Stephanie. Like, she's so her online persona, and I don't fault her at all for having like a separate persona, non-online persona, being much more prudish, I guess you could say, more conservative. But I don't know that Stephanie knows who she is outside of her online persona. So when she has to,
I think that's kind of what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
sometimes you get caught up in what that persona becomes, and they always say that sometimes YouTubers can become a little bit crazy because they become who they portray, and the lines blur, right?
Okay.
So I wondered that as well. And I think, you know, Stephanie seems very sweet. What about, there's been a lot of criticism about her she is blaming editing about her illness and using that against Erica constantly. Like, have you heard anything about that, or whether?
I have heard from my sources inside production that really was, maybe there was a little bit of exaggeration for like the cameras and for like editing. Maybe he edited it to be a little bit more dramatic, but the reality that Erica got was almost exactly what we see on screen. That Stephanie is really like that. Like, I heard the dinner that they had where Erica takes the tiara off and storms out, like that Stephanie was like, oh, is my chicken cooked thoroughly? Because if it's not cooked thoroughly, then I can get salmonella and die because I have a disease or whatever. Yeah, the look on your face. Her chicken was cooked fine. They're at a restaurant, like, it's fine, right? But you don't see that on camera. That wasn't edited. I mean, that had gotten cut out of that scene, which was really long, actually, and there was a lot going on in that scene. That was one of the things that hit the editing room floor. That's how she behaves about her illness. Like, she makes it a big deal. Now, I personally have a chronic illness as well, but do you see me lugging medicine around in a backpack that's like, this bag of medication. No, I've organized pill cases, and then the pills that I have to take in the middle of the day are, organized in a small little thing,
right. Like I'm a mama to a chronically ill child, and we definitely and he has severe ones like her, and hers is serious. I mean, it is.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
It's very serious.
Yeah.
But I can definitely appreciate the fact that she has to be a lot more closed off, because we don't go places, and it is a big deal for someone like Erica to get involved with someone like that, because their lives are very different.
Right. There are a lot of things involved, and mine compromises my immune system as well. So I get the need to, be free of germs and things like that. So, I understand that need, and there are certainly things that need to be, a partner needs to be aware of and be okay with. But I think Stephanie plays it up in a way that is like unnecessary.
Okay.
Unnecessarily dramatic.
Well, she's a dramatic person.
This is true.
So they are barely on speaking terms. Ashley comes ahead. You don't have anything on Lisa and Usman, but oh my God, those two are that we call her baby girl Visa on this.
Yes. Yeah, that's she's like that. Yeah. That's her name on Instagram as well. And I have stuff coming to me, some tea on them coming, but it hasn't come yet. So
what about Rose and Ed? Now my subscribers absolutely hate Ed, and and here's why. We have a list.
Okay.
We don't deny the fact that Rose is looking for an opportunity, but we also know that it takes more than an opportunity just to get someone there. Of course, she wants to leave her circumstances. Who wouldn't, right?
Right.
But you have to leave with the right person. And so I don't think that the age gaps are a big deal at all. When we look at couples, I think it's like intention that matters. And I don't think that his intentions were good with her, and that he was going there with a purpose that we call the pokey poke over here. But she's been calling him out on Instagram. It's very clear that they're not together, because she's posting photos with this other guy that's appeared in her photos on Instagram, and she had like a ring on and that kind of stuff. So what can we expect from his?
From what I understand is that there's a conflict between them as far as what happened when he returned to the United States. Like, he says that they got back together. She denies it. Or she says that he tried to get back together with her, and he denies that happened. There's some conflict as far as what occurred regarding their relationship status once he returned to the United States, and they disagree about what happened. I also understand that the rest of the cast feels the same way we all do, and basically dogpile him. Like you said, we talk a lot about on the podcast about the transactional nature of a lot of these relationships, and how there's not necessarily anything inherently wrong with that.
No.
But like you pointed out, though, like there has to be something more. And he seems to go into this with, me bringing you to the United States is sufficient enough for me to be able to do and say all these things.
Like, and that's the problem with a lot of these relationships, especially when men are doing this, is that they're going into a power play. And that's what I have said all along about him, is that he has manipulated this from the start by, saying that he has all of these specific, like deal breakers, not considering that she has deal breakers, because his carrot of the United States should be enough.
Right, exactly. And he's sitting there going, well, all these are my conditions, and you have to shave your legs, and you have bad breath, and you need to do this and this, and oh, by the way, I lied about my height, and I lied about wanting to have more kids, and all of these things that are very much a big deal to her. And she's like, yeah, no, sorry. So, I mean, she shows why she earned her title of the queen.
She's got, despite it all, she has got such an infectious smile. And she is constantly like telling people, don't start GoFundMe's for me. Like, it's clear that she doesn't want people's like like if she's looking for a meal ticket, she's pretty clear that that's not what she's looking for. She seems like if she's going to do this, she wants to do it her own way without people's charity. Like she's now, on TikTok, and she's got her YouTube channel going, and people love her because she's so positive.
Yeah. And she's real. And I think so often we see these relationships that are similar to Ed and Rose's, and we don't get the payoff of the partner without the power calling out the other partner.
Yeah.
And we got to see that with this, and we don't often get that. So we got to have our like, yes, aha moment that we don't normally get, that kind of payoff with these couples. That they get called out the way they deserve to get called out, and that was extremely satisfying for the fandom as a whole, I think. Right. And having children was very important to her. So, she let him know that. Here's another thing that I'm sure that your viewers have seen a little bit of, is that this thing about Ed
on social media.
Well, no, about him complaining about her sister having asked him for money.
Yeah, wasn't it like $75?
Yeah. Like, really?
Yeah.
And that all of the, like, he there's this whole thing about him going to the UPS store and mailing all these packages and stuff. And Rose said, no, the only things he's given me are like lingerie. Like all of that stuff, that's not true. So,
it's clear that she said, you used me for fame. You did this with a purpose, this, that, and the other thing. And if his social media isn't any indication that that's true, I don't know what else to say. Like,
right.
Not only that, but his social media behavior is so problematic. It is beyond comprehension.
Correct.
I'll go into detail because I would get so demonetized. He is not, he's a creeper, let's just say. And then you've got these allegations, these looming allegations of this woman who previously worked with him that's dropping stuff. And then you've got other women in groups that know him that have said similar things. You see how he interacts with these young women and even teens on Instagram, and you start to go, and then you see how he treated Rose, and then you wonder, like, why does he have such a large fan base? Why do you think he has so many people following him?
Well, okay, so we discussed this. So he was picked up by a YouTuber, PewDiePie, who is like the number one.
Yes.
Yeah, the number one whatever YouTuber. I don't know.
He's got one of the largest platforms, let's just say.
Okay, so he was picked up by that guy, right? And he and as a result, and that person, I guess, has a huge teen fan base. And also, Ed has been
He's a gamer. PewDiePie has his own problems. He is a big fan.
Well, so he's got that, and he's also been on Twitch for a long time. Like, he does, cooking on Twitch, and he's done streaming and stuff. So he's got this like fan. He's gotten connected into this fan base of generally younger individuals. So these people who may not have otherwise heard of the show have heard of him, or have heard who he was through some of these other content creators or whatever. So like when Ed goes live, he's not, you can't tell the age of a person when you like select, okay, go live with this person. So he just happens to have a large fan base that is underage because of these connections with people who don't necessarily aren't reality TV show people or aren't 90 Day Fiance people and don't watch the shows with the same kind of eye that you and I and our followers and stuff watch the show. So, they're not as critical of him because they don't really know the whole, they may not even watch the show at all. They just know who he is. He comes on and he does these funny cosplay things and whatnot. And so that's all they see of him. And, they may not see the allegations against him or see how he treats Rose and look at it with the eye that we look at it. So that's our take on it.
What about David? Does he show up, or is there anything about him at the tell-all?
David is there. Lana is not at the tell-all,
but we do get to see a package of David and Lana that I am not at liberty to reveal yet. I'll just say that.
A package.
Well, like a video package, you know.
Oh. So David's been on Instagram, and he says that this was all put together by TLC, and it's basically fake because Alana is a real person, and he has had video conversations with her, and he has seen her and interacted with her. And TLC chose to keep that all out of the show. Believe it or not believe it?
We believe it, and that's because our independent investigations has shown that to be true. So what we know, like when he went to the candy store looking for Lana, we know that that particular candy store is an hour and a half from where she lives.
Okay.
So, and she doesn't have a car. So if she were to pop in regularly to a candy shop, that's not going to be it. And then there are no other candy shops near where she lives.
Sure.
So we know that is fake. We believe that the producer just, oh, look, here's a candy store. Let's go in and make this a storyline.
Same with the meeting up, I'm assuming, then for the restaurant.
Same thing with the restaurant, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel, no matter what way you want to shake it, though, the fact that he's gone there so many times and she has stood him up, there's a scam of some sort going on.
There's something going on, but I don't know what it is because she doesn't, in the particular website that David uses with Lana, the girls do not make any money off of that. They do not get a cut out of that. Like maybe it may be different for some of the other websites that her photo and name appear on, but that particular website that David has been using, she does not get a cut of it. So what is in it for her other than maybe actual friendship and in connection with this guy?
Does he send her money?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
If they have such an extensive relationship, why not just give him her real phone number and like so they don't have to use this app?
That's a good question. The translator feature, is it really worth all that? I don't know. But what we know is that Lana is a real person. I can tell you that she is a real person, and what TLC filmed this season for him is, we believe much of it to be fake. We've been able to prove some of it is fake, and therefore we believe that the other stuff is fake as well and or embellished. My personal belief is that, like, when it turned out she didn't show up at the train station, they said, well, we're already here, we're filming, let's make something up. And then they did. And they made something up. And they went to a candy store, they went to a restaurant, went to a flower shop, and then they went to this random guy's apartment. And so that was, but she is a real person, and I, like I said, there's going to be some more coming out on them that I'm not at liberty to discuss yet, but keep, as they say on the show, keep watching.
So this group is crazy because we're going to leave and none of them are together anymore.
Yeah. None of them are together.
That's like a first.
Well, Lisa and Usman, maybe. We know that they got married, but are they still together as of the tell-all? I believe that they are. But, from Lisa's point of view, I'm together with my husband who's in Nigeria and no chance of coming over to the United States anytime soon. What does that relationship look like, right?
Yeah, they haven't seen each other since September. And that's when I spoke to Lisa, that's what she had said. He has all kinds of problematic behavior with girls on the show and like fans and things that he's saying about her in podcasts and about the relationship. But it's hard for me to actually believe what's up because I feel like those two would probably lie for money and views.
Right.
And might be doing some of this to drum up publicity for his crappy music that he makes.
Yes.
May or may not be stolen from somebody else.
Right. Right. Agree. Absolutely agree. And I know that from what I have seen of the tell-all footage, she is still saying that they're together as of the tell-all. But again, is that accurate? Is she just saying that? What does that look like? They're together, but she's in Pennsylvania and he's in Nigeria. There's a travel ban.
So he couldn't even come here if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not going to be lifted anytime soon. So what does that relationship look like? They're together, but they break up every other.
What I have said about Lisa, she came up from, and behind the scenes, she's always been very nice to me. So I don't want to be like disrespectful to her, but I just feel like she probably met him when she was in a very vulnerable place, coming out of a divorce and with someone that wasn't very nice to her. Maybe he's just sort of filled that gap. And sometimes when you get duped or like frauded, it's hard to admit.
Sunk cost fallacy and the psychological need for all of your efforts to not have been for naught.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like this couldn't possibly be it. I could never have been duped. It's the same reason why people are like, I could have never gotten into that cult. Oh wait, I'm in a cult. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
you watch like the 2020s and all of these other various shows and stuff about people who have been catfished or sending money to these various scams and stuff. And you always say, that can't happen to me. That can't happen to me. And you watch these shows and these people, you're like, oh my gosh, they're dumb. And you can see why, if you look at it with a critical eye, you can see why these particular individuals may have been more vulnerable, more susceptible.
They're typically vulnerable, and they're easily targeted, and specifically in Nigeria and in other parts of the world, these men particularly go after women that are older, typically over the age of 50, and generally overweight. I don't know what that part pisses me off. Like, but if you go to the embassies for various countries, this scam is clearly written out of what they're doing. And it's like to the T for every single one.
Yeah. Yeah. We have, as you know, and I think a lot of your followers know, is that we have, as a, regular contributor to our show, Agent C, not his real name, who is a former U.S. visa agent who used to be the consular officer is what their title is, but he used to be the one issuing visas. And so he gives us a perspective of these kinds of things.
Yeah, they call it the sweetheart scam.
Yeah. There's a reason Nigeria is at the top of the list always for fraudulent countries, and why visas are so difficult to get. It's because it's not just because someone randomly decided that. It's because there's consistently a high number of fraudulent situations coming out of there.
Same with Tunisia and where Muhammad and Danielle came from. Oh my God.
You know about Tunisian love rats then, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, the tell-all is going to be in a couple weeks, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think TLC ever actually knows, to be honest.
There's 2 more episodes of this season, apparently. That's
that's what they say. They edit up until the last minute. I believe was it last season? It was like everybody thought this was, the show we were watching was the season finale, and then they were like, oh, on next week's show, and it wasn't. It was like another, they pulled out another episode. Theoretically, we've got a couple of episodes left, and then we'll see the tell-all. I know that The Other Way, the next season of The Other Way, premieres on June 1st. So theoretically, we'll be done with this like the weekend before, but I don't know. Yeah, and hopefully I will be having some more tea coming on the Tom and Darcy segment, the Lisa and Usman segment, and any more that comes out, I will be sure to throw it away.
About Tom and Darcy. Well, Darcy is a queen. I hate Tom. He's such a tool bag. And Darcy is like the perpetual, like, why did this happen to me? But then there's another part of her where I love how fiercely, like, who she is who she is.
I'm a Darcy fan, so I'm excited for their spinoff. But
and I just feel like Darcy's like she's just so positive for other women, like on her Instagram, which is what I really. And she's in her 40s, and she's so fiercely like who she is, which is what I love.
She's unapologetically who she is.
Yeah, and last week I said like Tom made this comment like, oh, there's parts of her that nobody can ever take, and I was like, Darcy, every woman has that side, and don't ever let a man tell you that. Because you can be taken no matter who. Just stop looking overseas, okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah. So
people can find you on Instagram, FraudedbyTLC. You also have your podcast, which I'll link below, and you are going to get a YouTube channel going.
I have a YouTube channel already, Frauded by TLC on YouTube. The content that's up there is the podcasts. Episodes are all there, as well as most of my Frauded Night Lives, which is where I go live on Instagram every Friday night at 10 p.m. where we talk the gossip of the week. And usually I'm able to get those up on YouTube. Not always, but
oh my gosh, could I do that with you once? That would be so fun.
for sure. Absolutely.
I would love
Yeah.
it. I'm trying to grow my Instagram. I have most of my people over here, but that we can talk
and
about.
I have most of my people on Instagram, so you know.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know my subscribers will join the Piping Tea, and you guys, let me know what your comments are and what your thoughts are about everything that Katrina has shared. Make sure you follow her on Instagram and on YouTube, and I will be back later. Bye.